Um, so I'm going to continue that. So you got Coretta Scott King. You've got Reverend Young, Andrew Young, and you've got Jimmy Carter was governor, and then he was president. The point being, and I didn't make these associations at the time um, because I didn't know my real name. I thought it was the book. So um, Jimmy Carter had appointed Andrew Young ambassador to the UN. Andrew Young had made a point of going out, and this all looks good to some people. Um, Andrew Young had gotten together industry, money, backing, and gone into South Africa. And Rhodesia was a British colony, as was Kenya, etc., and everything's been stolen from us. But at that time, I didn't make the connections when the person at Coretta Scott King's office came out and told me, well, they knew about it. A friend of theirs, a doctor in Rhodesia, South Africa, about the chip and everything. So they've always known, Jimmy Carter and all of them always knew who I am, my real identity, when I didn't. So everything British has been stolen. Uh, and I'll say it again, George and Elizabeth, George, the brother that stole it, the sixth, signed illegal. It's not their right. They're illegal. They signed treaties allowing the United States to place its military bases all over British soil. They're all over Australia. They even have an Area 51 in Australia. So they use the Brits as a launching pad, and I'm a hostage here. And, oh me, well, let me stop a minute where I'm at because it's leaving out hell and trying to get enough in, but who's listening? You know, all this happened and nobody has been held responsible. I'm paying for the Americans' crimes. So, this is Andy Young and all this, and I go to their offices then. And by the way, I'm telling them about the Wayne Williams. This is a little bit, I had spoken earlier when I worked at, in 81. I had spoken with Mary Welcome, Wayne's attorney, who told me, she says, oh, I believe you. And she was going to send her attorney to get a deposition, and it was a little later that Lina Dempsey pulled that. So that would have been in 81, November, that she had me locked up, going to try to get me sent to the States. So I never come in contact with Mary Welcome, just a phone call. And I remember that Maynard Jackson, the mayor, and then Andrew Young was mayor later, but he went on network television with, oh, don't let me forget his name, who was the police commissioner, oh, God, I can't remember his name now, but they were on ABC, and it was taped back then, and they actually said Wayne Williams didn't commit the crime, it was the mechanism used. They were speaking of mind control. Why can no one, Lee Brown was police commissioner, and the one that was with him when they said it. So anyway, all this has been allowed to happen. And Lee Brown went on to be mayor of Houston, Texas, and also police commissioner there a number of times. And excuse me, he was a drug czar under what a joke this sick stuff all is, under Clinton. And there was another Lee Brown in that administration, Clinton's, and he was that was a cover-up and everything, and then they killed him. He was killed, shot in the head, I believe, taken off the plane or something. Anyway, he was in the staff, and so was Foster, was the legal counsel that supposedly committed suicide and was out in the national park dead. Well, that's a big hoopla, isn't it? I can't remember his first name, Foster. Vince Foster. Okay, so I'm back to, if I can get back there now. I don't know. I think I'm going to skip to 83. I'm on the street. The plane goes down carrying Larry McDonald, the doctor I'd written about, he's U.S. congressman. And I'm on the street down there literally begging for somebody to help me get a room. I wouldn't go near my ex-husband. He's just going to use mental health to lock me up. And all this good mental health they're pushing, all these programmed people that are deranged people that are getting locked up that are programmed. There's mind control has nothing to do with mental illness. So right at the moment I'll leave it at that. That's on a lot of other videos I've done. But I'm flown out to Flint, and I contact him, and I'm a candidate because the plane went down August the 31st of 83. And when I get to Flint, a limo picks me up, and it's a black limo driver. And I thought, how are they going to know me, you know? I only had one dress, too, you know. Wow. And I get off the plane, and he's got a Mrs. on a sign, and he comes up to me, so evidently he knew. But he handed me his card. He said, I don't know why they call me tonight. He said, Larry Flint used to be my best friend, and he used my limo service all the time. And he said, I've never since his shooting been able to get through to him again. He said, they called me tonight to pick you up. Would you give him my card? And I said, well, sure. So he lets me off at Flint's. I go in, and I forget, quite frankly, I kept the card till later, but it was after I had been at Flint's twice. And I remember Mr. Flint, I was in the library, and it was late at night, and he, that's when he said to me, they were going to take you, they were going to send you back a vegetable. So he knew all about what had happened to me, and I met his wife, Althea, and I stayed there a couple of times during October. And was later furnished a car, and that's the last that I saw of Mr. Flint. And by the way, for all his telling the truth about the Bloomingdale tapes, and he had a magazine, Rebel Magazine, that was really being, people were buying it off the newsstand. It was telling all this corruptness. Well, he got locked up and sent to Butner, North Carolina, where they send some of the so-called serial killers who are nothing but program victims. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say this. The Manson, I'm not just making any of this up. There's a long list of these. Manson, who, the Sharon Tate, and the coffee heiress, and what was her husband's name, who was the Russian producer. Those are mind control murders. So I'm out at Flint's, and later he is locked up, quite frankly, for telling the truth, too, just like me. And he's given drugs and everything and tortured, and his power of attorney taken away from him. Then his wife dies under strange circumstances. So you think a little mind control might have killed her? By the way, her brother, whose last name was Ryder, when I was out there, sat with me, and he said that they were going to help find my sons and get us back together. Well, I never saw them again, but I do thank him for the offer, and I know he must have tried, and I'm sorry. For the pain some people have gone through that did try to help, when all around was just cold-blooded killers that are Americans who found it a joke. So, I'm going to fast forward. I used the car, and I went through a lot of crap. I had no money. I couldn't get back to Flint. So I'm leaving that out. I got up to Grottoes, Virginia, and I was supposed to be running for the presidency then, and this is when they endorsed me. I had run for U.S. Congress when I'd been out there in '83. So they knew this was going to happen. So I had taken the money from that Flint had sent me, and I didn't know the $10,000 thought this was a gift at the time, but anyway, that he sent me to begin with. Um, so I ended up in Falls Church, Virginia, and I was doing temp, and I was sent out to Ron Ziegler's office. I think it was in Alexandria. I'm not sure. So I was doing temp to Kensington. I've forgotten. Telesecretary at Kensington, out of Kensington, Maryland. And I was trying to work up there, and I had the car. I was sitting out at Ron Ziegler's, who he owned something like Truck Stops of America, but that wasn't the name of it. It was corporate office. And by the way, if the truth's ever told, Ron Ziegler's a good guy out of that whole Nixon mess. And you're going to find he was deep throat, not the smart. They use my son's name in this. It's such a high level of it. But anyway, um, Ron Ziegler, when I was there, he was suddenly in Las Vegas, he in the corporate office at some kind of showing out there. And I remember he called and he said, "This is Ron Ziegler. Hey, who's answering my phone?" So I was just finding out about being kidnapped in my real name, being Margaret Ann Windsor, Victoria II. So anyway, the few days that I was there on the temp, there was rubber decks left out. They were supposed to be locked up and put back in the safe. At least that's what they told me. Well, on that Rolodex was, I'm telling you, this was all the media, the kids' names, their home phone numbers, their streets, Diane Sawyer, you name it, they were on there. You know, they deliberately left it there, and I Xeroxed them and all this, and later, when I tried to call any of them, they wouldn't talk to me. None of them would. So, now then, where am I? I'm in Grottoes, Virginia, and I'm pumping gas for a living, July of 84. That's when Mondale and Reagan are running. So I have the car, and I'm leaving. I go back to Huntsville because they're going to have a Mondale that's going to speak in Madison outside Huntsville. Well, I tried to get up to him. Now, they're not talking to me. Whether anybody took it serious or not, I want to ask you, can anybody tell you the truth about this mess? I am. So anyway, I try to get near Mondale with a letter to give to, for him to read. And they're not going to let me near him. All of it's so preposterous, you just can't, you'd scream if you didn't try to laugh it off or something. So I don't get close to him because the security guard are up there. Here's me back here getting everything in the book done to me. But hey, and don't let me, I might hurt somebody. I might. Oh, excuse me. So the security, the agents, losing it, who takes care of the president. They're all supposed to also put in charge of taking care of the queen. Only they got the wrong queen. They got the queen out here on the street.